Hi everybody and welcome back to another subscriber supported and dyno video. Today's victim of torture testing is the Rockford Fosgate Punch P1000-1bd, which is a mono amplifier for subwoofer applications. The amplifier is bandwidth limited to 250 Hz. When I first powered up the amplifier, I noticed a very low idle current of 0.8 amps and there was no sound output, not even noise. I started troubleshooting. I found a dead transistor and I was lucky. It was only one small SMD transistor which was defective. I ordered the parts and replaced the transistor, and guess what? I was lucky. The amplifier powered up fine and survived the dyno test. When I did the first dyno test, I was really confused. I found the ratings on the amplifier's box and there was printed 500 watts into a 4 ohm load. And the amplifier didn't reach 500 watts into the 4 ohm load. And I thought, damn, this one is overrated. Took another look into the manual and then I found the ratings: 250 watts into 4 ohms, 500 watts into 2 ohms and 1000 watts into a 1 ohm load. Here is the connection side. You can connect your speakers. You have speakers A, B, plus minus, plus minus. The plus are connected and the minus are connected together because it's a mono amplifier. You can connect two woofers easily. Here's a jack for remote punch EQ. The amp features an infrasonic filter. If you don't have a remote, you can set the punch EQ with this small knob here. And there's a frequency filter from 35 to 250 Hz. And below there is a gain knob. You have the RCA inputs and a pass-through option. And here you can make your power connections: B+, ground and remote. I just want to say thank you, supporters, whatsupaudio.com, used and new car audio stuff, lots of Rockford Fosgate stuff with international shipping. Thank you very much, Uli, for all your support, and now I'm happy to present a dyno video for you. The amplifier is connected to the dummy load. I start with 4 ohms. It's a mono amplifier, so I got just 4 ohms connected to the amplifier. I will start with 50 Hz of continuous power test. We stop the test until the signal gets dirty. Wow, it gets dirty now. Still distortion. That's distortion free. And I got an output voltage of 54.4 volts. At 4 ohms the amplifier puts out 379.5 watts of continuous power with 50 Hz. Let's check out how many amps the amplifier pulls. 31.7 amps. I calculated an efficiency of 87.3%. Now I'm doing the 50 Hz dynamic power test. That means I drive 10 cycles of 50 Hz into the amplifier and then I make a pause of around 20 cycles. And it looks like this. You see the bass burst here, burst, pause, burst, pause. So I'm going to raise the volume. Clipping, I go back and I checked the cycles. We have a higher output voltage, but it looks distorted. Here you can see the distortion. I'm going to reduce the input signal and check if it's cleaner. That looks pretty good. We can take this value, but we have the same voltage. We have 54.4 volts, that means we have no dynamic headroom increase with 50 Hz. Dynamic power test with 40 Hz and 4 cycles. So I take a screenshot and we see we have a higher voltage, but I'm going to inspect the cycles. And here you can see the amplifier is producing some distortion. That looks good. But as we can see, we have maximum voltage 54.4 volts. That's true. No more output power without distortion. Let's play the game with distortion. So now we have distorted cycles here in this case. I guess you will not hear this because it's a subwoofer amplifier. This is high frequency distortion here and there. I try to get to the clipping point. There we have clipping and lots of distortion. So I reduce until it looks a little bit nicer, and then we calculate the distorted value. So let's say this is okay, and let's have a look. This is distorted, so I go a little bit deeper into the cycle. I guess this is the top. We have 56.8 volts distorted. We got an output power of 413.7 watts. Just for fun, now I'm switching to 2 ohms mono of course, 1 channel amplifier, and I start with a 50 Hertz continuous power test. Here's the input. And of course without distortion. Still no distortion. There we get a little bit distortion. I reduce my input signal. That's without distortion. Here. It goes higher. There we have the super distortion. So we have some distortion in the output, but now I reduce, and now we have 51.2 volts. Okay, there we have some distortion, but sometimes it comes, it goes, I don't know why. But let's have a look at this one. This is right before clipping, and we have 51.2 volts. The amplifier puts out 690 watts. But let's start this over again, because I just want to get rid of this kind of distortion. There it comes. I go back. There's no distortion here. And you see we also have 51.2 volts. Yes, that's true. So we have a distortion-free 690 watts. How many amps will the amplifier pull out of my power supply with a 2 ohms mono load? Let's go. Wow, 57.5 amps. At 2 ohms mono, the amplifier still has an efficiency of 87.6%. Dynamic power test, 50 Hertz, 10 cycles. It says 54.4 volts maximum. Let's say 53.6. Let's have a look at the last cycle. $52.4. We will get a higher output voltage if we accept more distortion. You see here 56 volts. You will not hear it with a subwoofer, of course, because this is high frequency. We can just for fun calculate with 56 volts. If I'm going to accept this kind of distortion, the amplifier will put out 825 watts. Dynamic power test with 40 Hertz. Here we have the 4 cycles. 54 volts. Let's check the last one. That's 52.8. On the lowest cycle, the amplifier puts out 733.8 watts, and on the highest cycle, the amp is able to put out 767.5 watts. Average is 750.6 watts. And now I'm going to a 1 ohm monoload test. I have 4 resistors connected, 2 in series, 1 ohm in series is 2 ohms, 1 ohm in series is 2 ohms. Both of them parallel is 1 ohm. So a 1 ohm load is connected to the amp, and let's start with some tests. 50 Hertz continuous power test into a 1 ohm load. I try to avoid as much distortion as possible. I'm starting to get signal into the amplifier. Distortion occurs, but check it out, it gets still higher. And now this is what I would call clipping or distortion. I go back and let's check this one out. This looks clean, but you saw that we have distortion at lower output levels. High frequency distortion is not audible with a subwoofer. And we have a peak voltage off, it says 44.8. And that's true, we have 44.8 volts. With 50 Hz, the amplifier is able to put out 1003.8 watts of continuous power into a 1 ohm load. That's impressive. Let's have a look at the efficiency. Here is the idle current, 98 amps, 98.232. Let's take 2 amps. 98.2 amps. The amplifier's efficiency at 1 ohm is 74.6%. Here's a dynamic power test with 50 Hz and 10 cycles. That means 200 milliseconds. We have more distortion, so we can accept this, but it's not very beautiful. I'm going back and take the peaks. There we have, it says 49.6, this is with distortion, and we have the peaks at 46.4, it's the first cycle, and on the last cycle we have 45.2. With this high frequency distortion we have an output power of 1021 to 1076 watts, dynamically 50 Hz. Will we get some higher output voltage with a 40 Hz burst with 4 cycles? Let's have a look. Even with distortion we still have 46.4 volts, not higher output voltage. So we have the same values with 40 Hz. Now I'm using 100 Hz with 5 cycles. Let's check them out. So first cycle looks okay, of course with some distortion. Check out the second cycle. And we go to the last cycles. They look really bad, but we have a little higher voltage, 57.6. I'm not going to measure this value because it looks too dirty. I don't like it. I'm trying to get peak power out of the amplifier with one cycle of 100 Hz. So power supply is quiet, still distortion. I increase input signal. Absolutely ugly. I'm trying to reach a value where I can say I accept it. This is not acceptable. Maybe this one is, but it's ugly. Okay, we have 48.8 volts. Let's calculate just for fun. With 100 Hz and lots of distortion, we got 1191 watts into a 1 ohm load. Amplifier is not going into protection in any situation. If you want to support AudioKeller, you can do it by just clicking a thumb up or hit the bell button or subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.